Well, what's going on, Fusion? How y'all doing tonight? Are you doing good? Well, I am so glad that you are here. I must start off by saying this. It feels like I haven't seen you since last year. Hey, I thought that y'all would maybe enjoy that joke, but it seems like it did not land with you very well. Who has had a good New Year so far? Anybody? We may need to pray because it was like 5 of y'all that was like, woo! It must have started off rough. Anybody shoot fireworks at like midnight? Anybody here do that? Okay, well, if you live in the Greenwood area, you kept me up all night. Anyway, hey, I'm glad you're here. My name's Toshaun. I have the privilege of being the student pastor here, and it's a new year. Are you excited? 2024, man, you made it. You made it. We're here. It's a new year. It's a new me. I love this time of year, y'all. I love the beginning of the year, kind of just starting off and reflecting and thinking. Who are all my resolution people? Anybody here make resolutions? Okay, who are all my goal people? You don't make resolutions, you make goals, okay? You make goals. You're on the goal train. Who in here just shows up to the new year? It's just another day. We're just turning the page. Okay, I see you. I understand. There's a message here for you tonight as well. Well, I don't know kind of if you're a resolution person or a goal person, but as we begin the year, I love kind of reflecting about like who I want to be about, kind of what do I want my year to be marked with, what do I want our ministry to be marked by, and man, we have a word for this year as a student ministry, and I want to let you know what that word is. The word is evangelism. That is reaching people who are far from God. So we're going to spend a lot of time in this year talking about evangelism, but in this series specifically, and maybe you've thought the past few days about kind of your goals for the year, but in this series, we're going to talk about really what the Lord has called us to. Because I don't know if you know this, but there's a difference between making your own goals versus accomplishing the goal that God has for your life. And He has set a goal for your life. And that goal for you is to live sent. And that's the title of my message here tonight. It is Live Sent. And we're going to talk about, man, what does it mean to live sent? Why do we need to live sent? And then lastly, what's the outcome of living sent? What will it mean for us? We're going to be in the book of Matthew. If you have your Bible, you can turn to Matthew chapter 28, or if you have your phone, you can click to Matthew chapter 28. But I want to help you understand what's going on. Jesus is about to ascend to heaven to His Father. He's going there to prepare a place for all who would believe in Him, who would place their faith in Him. He says, hey, I'm going to prepare a place for you. And when I go to prepare a place for you, I'm going to come again. But right before He comes again, He says, right before He ascends, He says to His disciples, He says, hey, I'm going to call you to something. And that's what we're going to examine tonight in Matthew 28. But before we jump there, I want you to know we always read Matthew 28:18. And a lot of people know it in church, but we're going to start in verse 16 and 17 because I want you to see something interesting that happens there that I feel applies to you and to me as well. But this is what happens in Matthew 28:16 before the Great Commission's given. It says this in verse 16. Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain which Jesus had directed them. Before we move on, understand that Jesus has risen from the grave and He's telling them now, hey, listen, I'm going to go and I'm going to give you one final message before I ascend to heaven. I want to help you understand what your call is. This is the point. These people are about to see the resurrected Jesus. This is huge. This is exciting. Verse 17, and when they saw Him, they worshiped Him, but some doubted. I'm going to talk about why some doubted here in a moment, but I really want to spend some time talking about those who worshiped Jesus when they saw Him, the resurrected Son of God. Point number one, if you're taking notes, is what does it mean to live sent? What does it mean to live sent? I want to define this for you. Living sent means living on mission by fulfilling the Great Commission. Sending disciples out to make other disciples of all nations. So that begs the question, who should live sent? Who should live sent? I'll tell you who should live sent. Those who worship Jesus. That if you worship Jesus, you have a commission to go out and to live sent. What is that commission? Matthew 28:18, let's read it. And Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I just want to talk to you about 4 things that you're going to need if you are going to make disciples in 2024. If you're going to be a disciple who makes disciples, the first thing that you're going to need is authority. You're going to need some authority. So my first question for you is, upon whose authority do you go in and speak? Do you know the authority that you have as a believer? Do you know what Christ has called you to, the authority that he has given to you? Do you understand who has really called you into this commission? I have 3 kids, as you know. If you don't know, I've got 3 kids, Kyron, Kobe, and JC. She's my youngest. The ages are 1, 3, and 5. The 3 and 5-year-old have developed a really unique personality, and my wife and I have a lot of fun kind of watching them interact. But if anybody here have siblings, just so I can find out, okay, I want you to go back to, I don't know if you remember when you were 3 or 5. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. But if you have a sibling, has a sibling ever come to you and said, Mom said or Dad said, and then you kind of just gave them the cold shoulder? Yeah, some of you are laughing because you still do that today. So you're just like, hey, this isn't 3 or 5. I do that now. But I often watch my son, my daughter, y'all, she is intense. Maybe she is wired like her dad. I don't know. But my son will go and say, hey, Daddy said you need to stop doing this. And Kobe just continues to do it. She's like, and I'm like, Kyron, did you tell her, Daddy? He said, yeah, I went in and I told her, but she didn't stop. So I go in, I say, hey, baby girl, princess, why are you doing this? And then she stops. Maybe it's because I call her princess and she's like, yeah, she knows how to work me. But here's the reality. Here's the reality. Kyron doesn't carry the same authority that I carry. And she doesn't respond to Kyron in the same way that she responds to her father. Let me ask you, do you know the authority by which you speak? Do you understand that the creator God of the universe has given you authority to accomplish, to do something, and that is to go out and to share the gospel. The gospel is all about the life, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. And it doesn't just stop there. The gospel for you is like, how has Jesus' life impacted or changed your life? We had Audrey here share her story, and she did such a great job talking about, man, and here's the deal. At the age of 12, navigating anxiety, I don't think that she's the only one who has a story like that. Many of you come in here, you've been navigating things young, but then you met Jesus. That didn't mean that all those things went away. It just meant that you had a different way to navigate them. That the gospel has something to say about what you're going through, whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's the shame that you deal with. The gospel has something to say. And the authority that God has given you is to go out and share about how the gospel speaks into those situations. Are you sharing the gospel? Not only that, does your life reflect the change that has happened? I think that many people will go out and say, hey man, I want to tell people about the gospel. And you tell so many people about the gospel, you want to tell them these things, you want to roll out the gospel bridge, but you don't know their name. Not only do you not know their name, but you want to tell people these things, but then your life looks totally different than the thing that you say that you're about. That you say, hey, listen, like I've given the authority of my life over to Christ, and as a result, he took my shame, he took my hopelessness, he took my anxiety, and he transformed them, but yet you're still living the same way, as if there is no hope. You're still doing the same things that you were doing that brought you shame. Students, know this, that as we talk about evangelism, reaching people who are far from God, that people care more about what they see than what you say. People care more about what they see than what you say. This is why the thing that we speak about has got to be reflected by the way that we live. The fruit of our lives will come from this thing that has changed our life. That's the authority. The second thing that you're going to need if you're going to make disciples, you're going to need to go. You're going to need to go. Go is an action, is not a thought. So something interesting happened. If you come to Abundant Life here on Sundays for Christmas Eve, anybody here was here at Abundant Life for Christmas Eve? Okay, some of you will know this, some of you won't. But I got to participate in a game with Peyton. And there was a word that was in the noun section. And the word was somersault. I want to know, is somersault a noun or is it a verb? Okay, are you sure? Okay, some person, I don't even really know. Okay, so who in here says it's a noun? It can be a noun. Who in here says it's a verb? Who in here says, I honestly just don't know? Finish your point. Here's the reality. I found out that it can be both a noun and a verb, so I got a little English lesson. But here's the reality. The word go, there is no debate. This word is a what? It's a verb, and not just that, it's an action verb. Go, check this out. The word go, in the English language, it is the shortest complete sentence. Go. You are called to go. I think that far too often we think that this call that we have as believers is like the great suggestion and is not the great commission. Like your call, your assignment is to go. You got to get to work. The authority has been given to you. You have the green light. It is time to drive. And what are we driving people toward? It is the gospel. Anybody in here drive, by the way? Any drivers? Okay, so if you are at a red light, that means stop, right? For some of you, if you don't, then let me just tell you right now, it means stop. Okay, but then there's this other light, yellow. Yellow. So I said, go faster. Okay, so hold on, give me a break. Let me ask this question. Who thinks yellow means speed up a little bit? Father, be with them. I pray for them right now. They're going to need it. All right, who in here thinks yellow means, hey, it's time to slow down, take that foot off. Okay, we need to be cautious. Yellow does mean to slow down. I just want to let you know, as your student pastor, I don't want any emails from parents saying, you told my students to speed up at a yellow. No, and if you are speeding up, slow down. But hey, check this out. On a yellow light, it doesn't mean to stop. It means to slow down, right? So whether you're in the speed up section or you're in the slow down section, you're still in motion. Fair enough? What does green mean? Green means go. Green means go. And green means it's time that, like for you, you are free to continue to hit the gas. Here's the point. Some of us, when it comes to the gospel, we're red light people. Like we've been given this thing and God says, hey, go and share with people, but you're stopping. And how do I know that you're stopping? Because you're not doing it. That a red light means, hey, you're stopping, but like you've been given the green light to go out and share the gospel. You've been given authority by the creator of the universe. Who gave you authority to speak on this? God. So go out and do it. And whether you're a yellow, whether you're in the camp of yellow, it still means that your call is to move forward. And I get it. Sometimes we got to ease our way into it. I get that. I've been there. I've been a little nervous. I've been a little hesitant. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But your call is to continue to move. It's to continue to move in motion. So the third thing is to make disciples. That if we're going to make disciples, we need to make disciples. This is a mentality. This is the mission. This is your objectives. This is your thought when it comes to the friendships that you have with people. Hey, are y'all becoming better disciples, better followers of Jesus? That's what disciple means, is one who follows Jesus. In your friendships that you have, in your inner circle, are they pushing you to become better followers of Jesus? You can make disciples no matter where you go. The call, though, is to make disciples. Like, I want to talk to my juniors and seniors here for a second because I think that so often when you get to your junior and your senior year, and I get it that your class schedule starts to get a little fuzzy and you can't wait to leave because you set up your schedule to where you can dip out early. Yes, like I get it. But let me help you understand something. You're not exempt from your mission. That just because you can't stay in school, Christ has placed you there for a purpose. Don't waste your opportunity. You'll never get another chance to share the gospel as a high schooler than when you're in high school. I can't do that. I'm not in high school. But you can. Don't just wish your time away. Sit in that. Ask the Lord, hey, what do you want from me? Who do you want me to go out and reach? Your call is to make disciples. And some of us have hesitation. They're like, I don't know, Toshaun. I don't know if anyone will follow me or listen to me. Here's the reality. Your call It's not that they follow you, but they follow Jesus. And it's not that they listen to you. You're sharing with them Jesus and how he's impacted your life. That's why I'm sharing with you. You've got to be aware, and you've also got to have some security in the fact that has Jesus actually changed your life? And that's the thing that you're sharing. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what God has done in your life. You have the authority. You've given Christ the authority. You just got done singing in this song, Lord, I can't stop telling you how worthy. I can tell you over and over and over again how worthy you are. God, you're so worthy. And Lord, send revival, all these things. But is he worthy enough for you to carry out the mission of making disciples? It's not about showing up here, lifting your hands in fusion, giving God your praise, and then going out and pretending like he doesn't exist. We can't do that. The mission's bigger than these four walls. It's way bigger than that, and God has called you into that. He's invited you into that, and if you've experienced that, and if you believe that the thing that you sing about is real, then you ought to get fired up about stepping and being part of the mission. And the opportunities are all around you. The opportunities are all around you. You say, all right, Toshaun, I don't go to public school, I'm homeschool. Well, guess what? Even if you go to homeschool, that means that you're here, then that means that maybe there's someone here that you need to reach with the gospel. Well, Toshaun, you know what? I am in public school. Okay, you know what? You're in public school? Hey, just so happens, Steve, wave your hand. He's right in the back. That guy right there started a whole program all about helping students reach Jesus in their school. Everyone wants to talk about there's no hope in school. Well, guess what? Their first priority is happening. Go and be a part of it. The opportunities all around you, are you looking for those opportunities? To go out and be mission-minded. This is bigger than just fusion. This is not about just fusion. This is about a mission that we believe that Jesus is God's son, that every word that Jesus says is true, that when he says, hey, listen, I am the Alpha and I'm the Omega, I'm the beginning, I'm the end, death and life are in my hands. I'm going to prepare a place for you and I'm coming back. We believe that. So if we believe that, then that means that he didn't just go prepare a place for little old you because you're special. You are special, but understand he's given an invitation and he wants to use you to invite people in. Students, this is your mandate. This is your mission, and there is no time to lose when it comes to this. This is why living sent is so important. What's the fourth thing that you're going to need to make disciples of all nations? Of all nations, that's the fourth thing. I want to break this thing down in a different way. It's people who look like you and who don't look like you, but it's also people who don't think like you, who don't behave like you. Like the call is to all. Like there's no quicks when it comes to the gospel. Like imagine with me if I was just the student pastor for those students who were more athletically minded. That wouldn't work out well. I love athletics. I love competing. I'm a competitor. And we're about to play some games here in a moment. I'm about to beat a bunch of y'all in Mario Kart, and it is about, you're going to lose bad. But here's the reality. Someone said, no, I practice, I'll break. Here's the reality. Here's the reality. There's no quicks in the gospel. The gospel's for all. Like Christ had this vision where people from all different tribes, tongues came together. And not just all different tribes and tongues. I want you to understand that all people are invited to make a gospel decision. That for some of you, there's some people in your life who you think are too far gone in order to receive Christ as Savior. We were talking about this as we were preparing for the message, and I got the team together, and Peyton shared a story. I want to put her story on the screen, and I'm going to read it off to you. She said this. I remember in high school, there was this popular girl who I was convinced was too far from Jesus and would never want to hear about him. She was into every guy, partying, etc. A few years later on Instagram, she posted her testimony of how she came to know Jesus as her Savior. I got to meet up with her for a few months later, and she was sold out for Jesus. She said to me, I wish someone would have told me about Jesus sooner. Peyton says, I remember being so convicted that I did not get to decide if someone wanted to hear about how Jesus could save them. My job is to share and let them decide. I think many of us think this way. What she's saying there is, hey, she was convinced that this girl didn't want to hear about Jesus because she just wanted her sin. And I will tell you this, that for some that could be true. That could be true, but that's not your job to decide. Some people might want to engage and still do the sinful things they want, but that's not your job to judge them. Your job is to go and share. Your job is to not look at their lifestyle and like, I can't believe they doing that. Woo, they're going to end up messed up. Like, no, that's not your job. Your job is to live on mission. Your job is to go and reach that person because maybe, just maybe, the thing that they're looking for, you have the answer to. We've got hope. And we have to start presenting it in a way that draws people in. Don't just show up and start yelling at them. That ain't gonna work, okay? But I'm telling you, if you begin to share with them about how Jesus has changed your life, how you've never known a love like the love of the Father, he awakened something in your heart, and now the things that you used to desire, you finally see that they can never bring the satisfaction that they told you that they would, but Jesus did. If you share with them that, maybe, just maybe, they'll come to Christ. But then I think there's another thing that happens. There's some people who you're like, man, I don't know, but sometimes when it comes to like reaching people far from God, it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. Like I shared with them once, they kind of shut me down, but kind of entertained it, but then they kind of dropped off. Like you didn't follow up. Let me first say this, the fruit is in the follow-up. And that's Meg's story. Meg, if you don't know, is a friend of Savvy's, but I want to read you Savvy's story of how she got to share the gospel to Meg. She said this, in college, I knew that most of my teammates didn't know Christ. I began to invite one of them to church with me literally every week. It took a few weeks for her to start to come to church with me, and about a year after she started coming to church, she prayed to receive Christ. It took over a year of pouring into her life for me to see her place her faith in Jesus. It took almost 2 more years for her to take her next step in her faith through baptism. During that time, the Lord taught me diligence in sharing and also the importance of living a life that reflected Jesus in everything I said and did outside of a Sunday morning. Now, I get to serve with my friend and I get to see her constantly loving people like Jesus. We get to live on mission together. Students, what I'm trying to help you see is that sometimes it takes time. And for some of you, you were chasing after someone and trying to share Jesus with them, but you gave up because you're like, you know what? And it wasn't even that they were stiff-arming you. It wasn't like that they were being rude to you. They were just slow. And we got to be patient with those who are slow in coming to faith. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was slow in running in high school, and yeah, I needed to speed up. But you get what I'm saying. We got to be patient with people. Not everyone's just going to be, oh yeah, Jesus, and jump right in and take 5 next steps. That's not realistic, but we've got to be patient. The fruit is in the follow-up. Students, if you wrestle with empathy, like loving people, like I'm going to challenge you, man, to get around people who don't think or look or act like you do and to begin to invite them into a relationship with Jesus. I think that you begin to see some of that change. I got to keep moving. Matthew 28:16, I want to address the next part of this. It says this, now the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain which Jesus had directed them. Let me remind you of the fact that these are people who have once known of Jesus before he died. Now they're about to see him post him dying. Okay, this is so key because this next verse causes me to kind of scratch my head and go, what is happening here? Let's put verse 17 up on the screen. And when they saw him, they worshiped him, but some doubted. What are you doubting? What are you doubting? Point number 2 is, why should I live sent? Why should you live sent? And I want you to write this answer down because I got the answer of why you should live sent. Because the doubt that comes with faith is real. Why should you live sent? Because the doubt that comes with faith is absolutely real. Think about that for a minute. If you place your faith in Jesus, let's have an honest moment. Who in here has ever doubted their faith? Raise your hand. Hands going all up. The doubt in faith is real. And I'm convinced that the reason why the doubt causes some people to deconstruct and to say, oh, you know what, it's not real, is because they don't put their faith in motion. They don't put their faith in motion. Y'all, this has been me where there's been moments in my life where I'm thinking and I'm questioning, like, God, like, are you real? And I'm asking myself, hey, like, is what we're talking about, is it actually impacting people? Like, do students even care? Like, the doubt is real. And those whispers from the enemy, those voices that he begins to whisper and sow into our minds say, I don't know, maybe you should question what you're doing. The doubt is real. I've never doubted more than 2023. I'm just gonna be real. I'm like, man, is what I'm doing, like, should I still be student pastor? And I remember talking to my boss, and he sat down, I'm like, I don't know, man. I said, I don't know if I should do this anymore. And then he says, who told you that? Satan. It's Satan. I'm gonna tell you how I know. I'm gonna get to this verse here in a second, but check it out. These people gather together to meet Jesus and to hear from him. And some respond in worship and some respond with doubt. And this is the picture of even some of us in here. You've come to hear a word from Christ. Some of you have met with Jesus and you still doubt the power of God in your life. Like, you've seen and experienced Jesus and you're now doubting, hey, is God real? But you've seen it, you've experienced it. How can you now doubt something that you've experienced? I can tell you it's the enemy. But doubt can play out in a couple ways. I want to break these ways down. The first way that doubt can play out is there's this doubt that leads to an unbelief. There's doubt that leads to unbelief. That's the deconstructing. And if this is you in here and you don't believe, I want you to know that Fusion, you're welcome here, and we're praying that God would open your eyes, that you would come to place your faith in Jesus and you would walk in the new life that Christ has for you. There's this verse in Corinthians that I'm convinced as to why you doubt that leads you to disbelief. And this is what the Bible has to say of why you don't believe. And I'm telling you, it's true. It's found in 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 4. It says this: Satan, who is the God of this world, has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. They're unable to see the glorious light of the good news. They don't understand this message about the glory of Christ, who is the exact likeness of God. We're talking about Jesus. You don't see Jesus because Satan has blinded you to the truth that Jesus isn't real, Jesus doesn't impact lives, that there's nothing that the gospel has for you. And I'm telling you, it's a lie. It's a lie. The gospel is for you. Radically change your life. But then there's this doubt that this particular verse is talking about. And this doubt is more of a hesitancy than a disbelief. It's the Greek word distizo. Say that, distizo. Yeah, I have to write it down the way that I needed to say it because I was going to butcher that. So this word right here, this doubt is like too good to be true. Like, it's like pinch me, I'm dreaming. Have you ever had a thought like, or like you've seen something like, this isn't true, like pinch me, I'm like not alive. Have you ever thought about that, anyone? Or is it just me? Okay, a few of you. Like, thank you for being with me in this moment. So here's the thing. One thing that both of these doubts have in common is a lack of action. Taking a next step towards faith. So we see these people, they show up to hear from Jesus and they just doubt. And this led them to just watching. They just watched. And I want to let you know, if you're that person here that is doubting and just watching, I'm so glad you're here. And my prayer for you is that you would watch and that one day you would worship. Because what you're watching is real. And if you're worshiping, my hope and desire for you is that you would have a heart and understand that not everyone who comes in here believes and thinks the way that you do, that some of them are just watching, that you would have a heart, that you would have eyes to see, and that your heart would grow toward reaching those who are just watching. I think many of you have come in here week in and week out, and as a matter of fact, you showed up to Fusion all year last year and you just watched. You didn't get to see the miraculous in your life. You didn't get to see God do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever have asked for. You just watched. You just watched. And now you've come in here and you have so much doubt. In this generation, so much doubt. What's my purpose? What's the point of my life? Am I needed? Am I loved? These are questions that you're asking that have led some of you to really dark places. And I want to let you know the gospel has something for you. This is why you ought to live sent, because if you don't, my concern is that your faith could become numb. And in that numbness, the enemy says, I told you it wasn't real. It's not true. See, when you live sent, you give God the license to move in your life, to take you places that you never thought you would go. You get to experience life with a purpose, and you get to see like your role in this life and like what God has for you, your unique role, the God who knows the number of hairs on your head. You don't think that he gave you a unique call? That some of you will never get to step into that because you don't embrace the lifestyle of living sent. This is it. Some of you are like me in 2021 when I went to Planet Fitness. Anybody Planet Fitness people? 2021, maybe it was actually 2019. But let me tell you, this is so interesting. I am running out of time, but I got to tell you this story. It's a good one. So check this out. I went to Planet Fitness to work out, okay? And I went on a Monday. And Planet Fitness on Mondays, I don't know if you know this, but they have what? Pizza. Someone said it. They got pizza Mondays at Planet Fitness. If you didn't know this, I don't know if they still do it because I don't have membership there. But check this out. They got pizza. Woo! So this is wild. And not only do they have pizza, you can show up, eat your pizza, and sit down and watch other people while they're working out. I thought this was wild. So I'm like, this is wild. I can show up to Planet Fitness, get me some pizza, and just sit and watch people work out. I feel like I'm getting to work out, right? There's two types of people. And at this time, I'm just telling you, I was satisfied with being the one that shows up, eats the pizza, and watches those people work out. And let me tell you, when you're the person that shows up and just watches and you don't actually get involved and engage, let me tell you what you're going to get. Doubt. I doubted if working out would ever work. You want to know why I doubted if working out would ever work? Because all I did was sit around and eat pizza. But I'm telling you, if you want to see God do exceedingly and abundantly more in your life, you got to stop eating pizza and you got to get in the game. It's time to get in the game. Come on guard. There's a lot of stuff. Listen, students. There's so much on the line. And I hope you don't miss this, because here's the reality. It's a really good point. But the point still stands true that some of you are satisfied eating pizza and you will never get to see the result of what it looks like to get in the game. To get in the game. I'm out of time, but I got to make this call. This is my last point. I've never done this as a student pastor. In all my years of student pastoring, I've always said I don't care. I'm not going to be that guy. But tonight I'm going to be that guy, because at the end of the day, I believe that God has given me a responsibility and a vision of what Fusion could be as we step into 2024. And I want to let you know, you play a major part of this. So I don't pretend that every single person who comes into this auditorium, like every single person who goes to Planet Fitness, is actually committed to accomplishing the goal that they have set out to do. But I believe some of you are. And far too many of you have come year after year. You've sat, you've watched, you listened, and you left. And I'm trying to call you into something more, into something greater. So here's the call. In 2024, I want to see Fusion grow by 20%. Why 20%? Because some people were like, Toshaun, like, are you struggling? Did someone put pressure on you? No one ever had a conversation with me. Why do I want 20%? Because I believe that there are 76 people in this room who are sold out to Jesus. I don't believe every one of you are, but I think I can find 76. Because I think we average about 380 students, and I did some math, and maybe it's not good math, but 76 is what it is. 75, 76. So here's the reality. What does this practically look like? For those of you who say, hey, you know what? I am sold out. I'm tired of eating pizza. If you're numb in your faith, I'm calling you to come get in the game. You want the Lord to send revival? He's not going to just send it by you come in here and say, all right, Lord, send it. And what do you, like you want him to send fire? You'll burn up. That's not even realistic. The call, if you want revival, is to step into motion, to place your faith in motion. Don't just let your faith be something that you say, but something that you live out. It's living sent. So practically, what does that look like? I want to tell you, we have a student leadership team. Man, I want you to join it. We have a QR code that'll be on the screen. And then even at the end of the service, man, come find me. Go to the next steps and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. Let them follow up with me. All I'm asking you to do is just put your name on a paper. We'll do the rest of the work, but it's time to get to work. 76 people saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to join into the mission. I'm going to help us grow. And I'm not going to just show up, sit, listen, and leave. And man, I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. And then the outcome of what you get to see is exceedingly and abundantly far more than you could have ever imagined. As we step into this time of response, with every head bowed and every eye closed, let me ask you, are you a part of something that's bigger than yourself? Man, are you walking in here numb? Are you walking in here wondering, hey, what's my purpose? What's the point? What do I need to do? I'm telling you that God is calling you to put your faith in motion, that if you want to see real purpose, that real purpose is found in one person. His name is Jesus, and he's given you a call, and that call is to go and make disciples, to be living proof of a loving God to a watching world. You cannot sit on the sidelines. It's time to get in the game. So this altar down here, maybe you come in here and you're like, you know what, man, I want some fire. I need to come and pray. This altar is going to become a place where you can come get on your knees and ask the Lord to give you the desire to desire. You can come and ask the Lord to open your eyes. You can come and ask the Lord to do the exceedingly and the abundantly more, what I'm talking about. But that is not just a pithy statement. That is going to take some action on your part. You have a part to play. And it's exciting. So students, it's time to respond. It's time to move. And I'm praying for you. I'm behind you 1,000%. Father, I pray for each and every student in this room. Lord, for the one who doesn't know you, Lord, I pray that today they would get in the game. And student, if that's you, you can get in the game today. All you need to do is confess that Jesus is Lord. Romans 10:9 says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you will be saved. And that can happen for you right in your seat. And you need to know that you are on the roster. You're on the A team. There's no B team. You're on the A team. And we want to come and help you be a part of what it looks like. You don't have to wait. You don't have to do anything. It's not about what you do. It's about what Jesus has done. And Lord, I pray for those in here who need revival, who need to be awakened, Lord, who need to hear from you, who need to experience you because they've gone dry. They don't feel anything. They've gone numb. I pray tonight, Lord, that you would awaken, that you would revive, that you would bring to life your spirit in this place. And Lord, we would see revival break out this year. And it's in your son's name we pray. Amen. As the band sings, you respond. The altar's open.